everybody, and welcome back once again. Another edition of Inside the Headset, Week 4, Game 5. I'm with the head coach of the Blackman Blaze, Coach Philip Shadowens. Last Friday night, I was at that ball game, played Mount Juliet. First half, a couple of obvious things, and you kind of talked to him about it on the morning show. But man, you had a lot of momentum. You were rolling, and then a couple of things. Why don't you talk a little bit about it?
Right, came out, and I thought really the first 4 possessions was not perfect execution because we didn't do some things completely right, but 4 touchdowns, all in 2 minutes or less possessions, and defense was dominating. Really, the entire first half, the defense was dominating. I think we gave up 60 yards in the first half. And then to put the game completely away, there in the second quarter, we fumbled twice on the 1 yard line or 2 yard line, whatever it was.
And they were hammering at him. I did notice.
Well, Charlie's fumble wasn't ball security because the ball was secure. Charlie lowered the pass to get into the end zone, and the kid went lower than him, and just one of them things where the helmet hit right on the ball. The only thing Charlie could have maybe done is bring the second arm in, which we would want him to do on the goal line, make sure the second arm is to cover the ball, but he had it high and tight. That kind of stuff
already
happens.
ran like a 10, 12 yards
Right.
to get to that point,
Right.
so his momentum.
He's trying to finish the run. He lowered his pads, and a kid a kid went really, really low on him, and one of them things that happens. I obviously we don't want to fumble the football, but that wasn't a ball secure. That wasn't bad fundamentals. The second fumble on the 1 yard line was a botched handoff, which simply can't happen. And Charlie wasn't in the game at that time; it was another tailback, but that can't happen. You got to finish the drive. You got to act like the score is 0-0. You can't lose focus based on the score because you can't play against the scoreboard sometimes. You got to play against yourselves and just executing. And so I was frustrated at halftime.
I was going to come in, but I didn't. I didn't want to be.
I was frustrated and I don't want to sound greedy. I mean, we're blessed. We're talented. Here the last few weeks we've been quite a bit better than the teams that we're playing against, and so we should be ahead, by quite a few points. But at the same time, you gotta finish things better, and that's what I said to him in so many words at halftime. On Friday night is that, I'm pleased with coming out of the gate and playing like we did for the first quarter and a half or whatever it was. But at the same time, then we get sloppy for no reason. Then we start, and you can't do that. We want to play 48 minutes, and if we're going to take you out of the game after halftime or whatever the score may be, then every rep you get has to be important to you. And it's got to be a state championship rep. It's got to be, you're in the fourth quarter and it's all on the line rep. And you have to look at things that way from a player standpoint, and from a coaching standpoint, we want to look at it that way. I thought we didn't do that really 2 weeks in a row, and we've addressed it. We've talked about it. Now I expect them to do it better.
Well, I was just noticing here and kind of share with the fans as you was closing out, you work on that 2 minute or that final second drill. I've known you for a long time. Talk to a little bit about the fans, because that's just something, you just don't start doing it toward the end of the season. You do it every week, don't you?
It don't just happen on a Friday night. You have to prepare for that during practice and all that. And we always finish our Thursday walkthrough with a 2 minute drill. And it's always, a field goal to win, a field goal to tie, whatever the case may be. And if it's not completed correctly, then we start it back over with a 2 minute drill. We're going to always finish Thursday with a completed 2 minute drill, finishing with a field goal to win. And because at some point, whether it's the end of a half and you need, you have 40 seconds to drive 60 yards, or whether it's the end of the game to win a game or to tie a game, whatever, kids have to be prepared to do that. And so our kids, when put in that situation, should be prepared to execute. And certainly that's worked on in practice every week.
You talk about growth. You talk about getting better. If you step outside and you just look in and you take the yellow pad, where can Blackman really get a lot better? Has a lot of runway growth.
I think in all facets of the game we can get better. I mean, we have a dominating offensive front, but at times, our protection may break down a little bit, and sometimes that's because the back's not protecting. We got to get better. All our skill players. Here's the most obvious thing offensively: is all our skill players, from backs, receivers, quarterback, whoever it may be, must get better when the ball's not in their hands.
They got to make things happen away from the ball. What are they doing away from the ball?
Whether it's receivers blocking, whether it's a tailback inserting where he's supposed to insert in protection, whether it's a quarterback carrying out fakes after a handoff. We have to get better when the ball's not in our hands. It's easy to be good when it's in your hands. I mean, if you're talented enough and good enough, big enough, strong enough, all those things, it's great. It's easy. It's not easy when I'm assigned to go block the linebacker that's blitzing, or it's not easy when we're running, outside zone to my side as a receiver and I've got to go hammer someone. I mean, that's what we got to get better at. 2 weeks ago, receiver-wise, was as bad as it gets from a blocking standpoint, but then this week, this past week against Mount Juliet, our receivers did a much better job.
Right.
So now I need our backs to step up and do better without the ball in their hands. And from an offensive standpoint, that's where we're at. From a defensive standpoint, we still miss some of our movement. I mean, where we're not all moving the same direction. We're not all fitting things properly in a run game. Pass game, last week the kid at Mount Judah was a really good quarterback. He scrambled around some. We got lost in coverage, let people get behind us. Just didn't finish plays out. So, there's always a plethora of things from a defensive side because you see something different every week that you have to work on. And on both sides of the ball, but defensively, the offense throws so many things at you from week to week. There's all kinds of things you can improve on every week. But defensively, I see is we got to be better in coverage, especially on scramble situations where we got to stay in coverage and not get lost. And then from a front standpoint, we've got to get better to making sure we're all moving the same way. We're fitting the run game properly. I hate to turn on a video and see things fit incorrectly because that always results in an 8-yard gain or a 10-yard gain or against really, really good people a 50-yard gain because you didn't fit it right, and there's no excuse for that. So we have a lot of room to improve. We show that to our kids every Monday after practice. We started doing something where it's instead of just preparing for the next opponent, we go back and look at good and bad from the Friday night before. And it's a great way, instead of us just coaching them through it or on the field, it's a great way for us to correct it on the field and then bring them inside and say, here's what I'm talking about, and so that's been a huge benefit for us. I think our kids are seeing it. And what I tell them is, you want to own everything that's good, you got to own it when it's bad.
Right.
We want to be patted when it's good. That's human nature. We all want to do that. And I'm going to pat them on the back and jump up and down with them and chest bump and all those things. But when it's bad, you got to own it the same way and correct it and not let the mistake the next week be the same one. We're always going to make mistakes, but I shouldn't make the same mistake 2 weeks in a row. And so that's what we work on. And so there's lots of room for improvement at Blackman High School, and our kids are working hard to do so.
Tomorrow night you got a game, and you could possibly be 5-0. You take them one. I know you one at a time, but it's part of it. You're going down Stewart's Creek. What's it take to beat those guys?
Right, obviously, a school that split from here, they're still young, still don't really have a senior class for the most part. They got a few seniors, but most of them are, sophomores and juniors. Team that athletically we're going to be better than, and we should be. They don't have a senior class for the most part, so we should be better athletically. So it's not about the opponent, and I think the same thing. I don't care if you're playing the Tennessee Titans or whoever you're playing. I think it should never be about who you're playing. It should be about who you are. And that's what I sell our kids on every single week. It don't matter who we play. It's all about Blackman doing what Blackman's supposed to do.
For 4 quarters and
Yes.
executing and doing
Absolutely.
the things and
showing improvement each week. That's why you practice, is to improve every week, and you never want to go backwards. If you stay the same, you go backwards. So you always want to improve one week from the other on execution on both sides of the ball and special teams as well. And so it doesn't matter who we play. And that's truly the way we look at it every week, whether it was Oakland week 0 or whether it's, Hoover week 10 or all the teams in between those two. It's about Blackman High School executing on both sides of the ball, playing with intensity, playing with the physicality that we ask them to do, and to finish a game like they're supposed to finish. And if we do those things, the scoreboard always takes care of itself.
Shout out to the parents and the fans. I'd like to close with that, and that is, man, they've been right behind you. It seems like when you least expect it, the band's getting louder and louder and louder, and they come to cheer you guys on.
We had a huge crowd for a non-district, non-county school.
I thought so.
It's a big gate. It was homecoming. Obviously, a lot of students were here. Our students come anyway, but no matter what, they're going to be there for the most part. But had a huge crowd. Our fans are always good. Blackman travels better than anybody else in this county. They always have. Really, since the 3rd or 4th year this school was established, I think this is the 14th year of the school. Really, after the first 3 or 4 years, Blackman became known as a team that would always travel. Parents come, students come, and that's certainly the case now. enjoying some success, and they get an opportunity to watch what I hope is a good product on the field. It's a fun team to watch.
Oh, it is.
I mean, it's a fun team to watch. You have to be having fun watching those kids play. And with those things said, I would want a big crowd to be there tomorrow night, at Stewart's Creek. And, our kids know their kids. It'll be fun for them. And, a lot of those kids that are now juniors were freshmen for us. And then they had to move because the school split. They didn't give the freshmen the option of staying or whatever. So we know a lot of those kids that are now juniors over there. And so it'll be fun for our kids to play against them. Some of their friends from middle school and elementary school and youth ball and all those things. So
Friday night's a gathering.
Friday night. It's a Friday night football. I mean, what else do you want? It's Friday night football. And so, I want everybody to come out there and support our kids, support their kids, and it'll be another fun Friday night football.
All right, tomorrow night down at Stewart's Creek, Red Hawks and Blaze go at it 7 o'clock. Y'all be there.